Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wednesday, June 1st, 2022 meeting of the Lake Havasu City Planning and Zoning Commission. Would you please rise and join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll? Here.
Jim Harris.
Here.
Donald Bergen.
Here.
Chad Nelson.
Here.
Matthew Mitchell. Sam Levin. Gabrielle Medley.
Here.
David Diaz.
Here.
Paul Lair. And Susanna Ballard.
Mr. Lair, would you please take the vacant spot today? All right, correspondence and announcements. Mr. Morris.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. The previous City Council meeting, the City Council approved that ordinance amendment for the Kiowa C2 property to remove those conditions of approval. They also approved, per your recommendations, the RUMS and RCHD development standards. Other items is, of course, the Planning Commission terms are expiring at the end of this month. And so if you want to, again, apply or reapply to be a regular member, there are 3 regular members positions will be opening up and 2 alternate members will be opening up. So if any of the Planning Commission members or anyone from the public would like to apply to be on the Planning Commission, please submit your application by 5 p.m. this Friday, June 3rd. Applications are available online at the city website. You can also contact any planning staff and we can get a copy of an application for you.
Could you please tell us whose terms are expiring?
Yes, the terms expiring are Chad Nelson, Mr. McGowan, who had resigned from the commission, and then, oh shoot, who's the third one? Oh, Mr. Bergen. I'm sorry, yes, Mr. Bergen. And then those are the 3 regular members. The 2 alternate members who are expiring are Matthew Mitchell and Sam Levin.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Anything else?
Oh, that concludes my presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any additions, correction, changes, deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Nelson, a second by Mr. Diaz to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's go ahead and place our votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. And with that, let me just say that this is a public hearing and there is a structured order to this proceeding. The city staff will present each item. There will be time for the commission to ask questions of the staff, and then the applicant will have the opportunity to present their case to the commission. That being done, we will then open the proceeding to the public for their questions and input. I would ask that anyone of the public that wishes to speak limit their trips to the podium and microphone to only 1. Keep all comments to less than 3 minutes, and to stay on point and not discuss subject matter that is not being considered here today. And after public testimony is taken, I will then close the public hearing and bring the motion back to the table for city staff's recommendation, discussion amongst the commission, and eventually a motion to either approve or disapprove. The first item on today's agenda is item number ID 223318. This is a request for a preliminary subdivision plan for Golden Rocks Townhomes at 3437 Oro Grande Boulevard, tract 2217, block 6, lot 12, creating a 2-unit residential townhouse subdivision in the residential limited multiple family R3 district. Mr. Morris, your presentation, please.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Planner Trevor Kearns will take these items. Thank you.
Thank you. The subject property is located on Oro Grande Boulevard and Buena Vista Avenue. The properties to the north, south, and east are zoned R3 and developed as multifamily uses and a church. The property to the west is zoned residential single-family district and developed with an elementary school. The site is currently a developed 2-unit multifamily complex that was built in 2001. The proposed townhouse plat will allow the units to be individually owned, and they will be part of an association along with the common portions of the development. The project includes 2 residential units with attached garages. Parcel A, shared area and public utility easement. Rear yard will be restricted to each unit. The project will have property owners association to manage and maintain the association improvements. Parcel A will be privately owned, and the water and wastewater within the subdivision will be installed and maintained by the association. This concludes staff's presentations. I'm available for any questions.
Are there any questions of staff by commissioners? Mr. Bergen.
In looking at this, 3437 was a private house, and it was next to a church parking lot.
And
What's the question?
Well, it doesn't seem to match being a existing private house. And then
What's currently two separate units. So they're splitting. They're going to make the townhouse so they can sell each individual unit or individually owned.
So Don, it might look like a house from the front, but it's actually a fourplex. There's 4 units, 2 separate duplexes, essentially. Is that correct?
It's just 1 unit each, 2 separate buildings.
Well, there's 2 buildings, but a total of 4 units, correct?
Just 2 units.
Oh, 2 units. Okay.
so it looks like 2 houses, but we have actually on an R2 property, 2 separate units that are under consideration here today.
That is correct.
Does that answer your question?
okay.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, hearing none. Is the applicant present? Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Lee Johnson, APL Surveying. Morning Commission. Yeah, and this is 2 separate 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage units on one lot. So when you drive by it, Mr. Bergelson, it looks like the one closest to the church parking lot's 1 unit, and then next to it, like 30 feet away, is another unit. They've got a gap between the 2 units, so there's actually 2 units on that one lot. So doing this, we'll be creating the 2 units for individual sales. So each 3-bedroom, 2-bath unit would be for individual sales. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What's the lot width?
Mr. Nelson.
The lot width is 100 feet.
Any other questions of the applicant? Ms. Ballard.
I have a question. So when this is approved and completed, would there be 3 parcel numbers for this property? 1 for each unit and 1 for the common area?
The way the county does it is they'll give each unit a parcel number, and then the way the tax assessor does the common area, they don't assign that a APN. What they do is they take, depending upon the number of units, in this case there's only 2, so what they'll do is they'll take the value of the common area and apply that portion of tax to the 2 APN. So like if you had a 5-unit complex, they take the common area, divide it by 5, and apply that tax to the 5 units. So actually there's only 2 APNs that get created.
So because these are going to be townhouses, what would be the common area then would be, if you're doing a survey, would that common area in the rear be a part of this lot?
It's part of the overall common area, and through the CCNRs, they will create the side yard and rear yard as restricted common element, which means the rear between Unit 101 is only for the use of Unit 101, and the rear behind 102 will be only for the use of 102.
I thank you.
You're welcome, Mrs. Ballard.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you, guys.
All right, this is a public hearing. I will now open it up to the public. If there's anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on this item, either pro or con, now's the time to do it. Anybody at all? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion of the meeting and bring it back to the table for staff's recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends approval of Land Use Action 22-3318, a preliminary subdivision plat for Golden Rocks Townhouses at 3437 Oro Grande Boulevard, Tract 2217, Block 6, Lot 12, creating a 2-unit residential townhouse subdivision in the R3 district.
Okay, is there any further questions or discussion from staff?
Just
Mr.
discussion.
Nelson.
Just discussion and question. So if I were to want to build a single family unit on a lot, what's the minimum lot width?
Well, depends upon the zoning district. If it's this R3 zoning district, the lot would already be established. So if it's a legally established lot, it doesn't really matter what the lot width is at that point. You're allowed to build whatever is allowed to be built on that property. If you're creating a new subdivision, a new lot, then it needs to meet the minimum lot width. In the case of an R3, that new minimum lot width is 60 feet.
Okay. So the only point of discussion is that, or the only thing I don't want to encourage is people building duplexes and then turning them into individual houses. And the difference in this one is they're creating a subdivision. And I'm not against this. I think it's great. I think it'll add some units to the inventory, which we still desperately need. But just with some of the commission, I just want to point out that if someone going to build a new one, if they have to have a minimum lot width of 60 feet to build a unit. So if this is 100 feet, then we're going down to 50 feet. I just don't want people to think that they can build a single unit on 50 feet.
The difference being is actually the difference between a lot split and a subdivision.
Yes.
So you're referencing a lot split, which they would basically be told they couldn't do that.
Correct.
But if they create a subdivision with common areas and CCNRs, et cetera, then it's doable.
I don't really see the point of CCNRs and HOA in this circumstance. I think creating the subdivision and just leaving them as separate parcels would be fine. But if they want to manage that, that's up to them. But I just want to point out that if someone went to the city to build a home on 50 feet, you wouldn't be able to do it. So your point being correct that creating a subdivision to do it is the only way to do it. And that's what we would encourage is creating a subdivision and not trying to build a house on 50 feet.
Basically, controlled development.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? We are at the table for discussion and or a motion. Anybody? Mr. Lear?
I'll make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Medley. So we have a motion by Mr. Lear, a second by Ms. Medley to approve ID 22-3318 with staff's recommendations. Any further discussion on the issue? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the question.
Motion passes 7-0.
Congratulations. Good luck. Okay, the next item on today's agenda is ID 22-3319. This is a request for a preliminary subdivision plat for Trace Moss Townhouses at 2306 Palisades Drive, Tract 2192, Block 1, Lot 12, creating a 3-unit residential townhouse subdivision in the residential limited multifamily R3 district. Mr. Morris, your presentation.
Again, Mr. Kearns will take this one. Thank you.
Mr. Kearns, your presentation.
Thank you. The subject property is located on Palisades Drive between Sandwood Drive and College Drive. The properties to the north, south, and east are zoned R3 and developed as multifamily and single-family uses. The property to the west is zoned residential multiple family district and developed as multiple family uses. The site is currently vacant, but building permits have been submitted and design review is underway. The proposed townhouse plat will allow the units to be individually owned, and they will be part of an association along with the common portions of the development. The project includes 3 residential units with attached garages. Parcel A, B, and C, restricted common areas and public utility easement. Parcel D is a shared area and public utility easement. There's a new 5-foot drainage easement. The project will have a property owners association to manage and maintain the association improvements. Parcel D will be privately owned, and water and wastewater within the subdivision will be installed and maintained by the association. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions of staff by commissioners? Hearing none, is the applicant present? Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Lee Johnson, APL Surveying. This one also is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, each unit. Total of 3 units. The rear yards and side yards on this will be the same as the common restricted area. And then the main drive going through is, and the front is the overall common area. The drainage, Trevor, do you have the site plan? That one that's submitted in? No, you didn't scan that one? Okay, the drainage easement that's be creating is, there's a storm drain system that goes throughout in this project that goes, drains all the backyards and goes through the common area and then goes out to the underground storage in the front. So that's what the drainage easement's being created for. So if anyone else has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
You said underground storage in the front?
Yes.
Where is that located?
It's
Okay.
It sits between the front 2 units, between where the driveways would be,
Right where the cursor shows on the screen? Yeah.
right in that area.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Or excuse me, of the applicant? Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
All right, thank you, guys.
Again, this is a public hearing. I'll open it up to the public. If there's anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on this item, anybody at all, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this item and bring it back to the table for staff's recommendation.
Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends approval of Land Use Action 22-3319, a preliminary subdivision plat for Trace Moss Townhouses at 2306 Palisades Drive, Tract 2192, Block 1, Lot 12, creating a 3-unit residential townhouse subdivision in the R3 district.
All right, any questions of staff? Any discussion?
I have a question.
Mr. Diaz.
To staff. So just want to make sure, currently this is zoned R3?
Yes, that's correct.
And then are we changing the zoning on this?
No, the zoning stays the same.
Zoning changes the same. Okay, just wanted to make sure. It's just, I was looking at your proposed and then your existing and current. And so the zoning is staying the same. This is just a plan for what we're looking at. So it's R3 and it's staying R3.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just a planned development within R3. Anybody else? Discussion? We are at the table for discussion and or a motion. Mr. Nelson, I see you reaching.
Waiting for my screen to change. I'll make a motion to approve ID 22-3319 with staff's recommendations.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second to it.
We have a motion by Mr. Nelson, second by Mr. Bergen to approve action item number 22-3319 with staff's recommendations. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and place our votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Good luck again. And the last item on today's agenda is ID 22-3320. This is a request for a preliminary subdivision plat for La Fortuna Townhouses at 2015 Moyo Drive, Tract 100, Block 1, Lots 1 and 2, creating a 16-unit residential townhouse subdivision in the Residential, Commercial, and Health District, R-CHD. Mr. Morris or Mr. Kearns, your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject property is located on Moyo and Inyo Drive. The properties to the north, south, and east are zoned residential, commercial, and health district and developed to it as multifamily uses and vacant lots. The property to the west is zoned commercial and commercial health district and developed for commercial uses. There is currently a previously approved 9-unit townhouse subdivision for this property that would be replaced by Land Use Action 22-3320. The site is currently vacant, but building permits have been submitted and design review is underway. The proposed townhouse plat will allow the units to be individually owned, and they will be part of an association along with the common portions of the development. The project includes 16 residential units with attached garages. Parcel A is a shared area and public utility easement. Parcel B is the common pool area. The project will have a property owners association to manage and maintain the association improvements. Parcels A and B will be privately owned, and the water and wastewater within the subdivision will be installed and maintained by the association. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for any questioning.
Any questions of staff by commissioners? I have one. Could you tell me what the size of that parcel is? Dimensions, please. Can't see them on the screen.
$240 by $150.
240 by 150 approximately. Okay, thank you. Any other questions of staff?
Yeah, if you can go back to the
Mr. Nelson.
the plat map. Okay, so on Inyo Drive, are those approaches for garages there? You said they have attached garages.
I apologize, we don't have the answer readily available. I wonder if the applicant can answer that. If you don't, we can give a little pause and we can call up the plan itself.
We can move on to the applicant.
Okay.
Unless
Yeah.
there's other questions.
No, yeah, that's fine.
Right.
I just want to see what the parking situation
The
is.
applicant's present. Please state your name for the record.
Lee Johnson, APL Surveying. to start with Mr. Nelson's question, no, those are, none of these have attached garages.
Okay.
There is, find my right sheet here. There is 5 2-bedroom, 2-bath units on it. So the units facing Inyo are 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and then the one
By the pool area?
by the pool area is another 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So you got 5 of those, and then you have 11 1-bedroom, 1-bath units and 21 parking stalls on it.
Are they all in parcel A? Is that
Yes,
where the
yes.
parking stalls are? So I see 23 parking spaces. Is that correct?
Is there 23?
Yeah.
Okay. You must have counted better than I did. I got 21 when I rough counted this morning.
Yeah. Let's see.
Mr. Diaz.
Yeah, so it says there was a previously 9
Oh,
units.
yeah, 21.
There was previously a 9-unit project approved. How long ago was that? And then why didn't why-
That
why-
was a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And the reason the developer changed from those units to what he's doing now was a couple issues. One, the cost of construction of those units. Those are similar to the units that he's building over on Swanson at Riverwalk, and then also the 2 stories he's building over on Moyo. Cost of construction has went up, and he's actually even having a hard time finding laborers that can actually build the 2-story unit. So he's having trouble with that. So that's why he went back and switched over to the projects that he's been doing elsewhere.
Yeah. And then, so we have 16 units and 20, was it 23 parking spaces?
21.
21.
No,
21
I miscounted. I counted too fast.
And the parking spaces are for one individual car?
Yeah, they're just individual parking spaces. So you got 21 parking spaces.
And there's detached garages?
There is no
no
garages.
garages.
The
Just
parking is
21 parking
covered.
spaces.
I just see, I mean, project looks good. I just see a parking nightmare.
Parking is something that the city staff considers prior to any approval of a development
Yeah,
like
I know
this.
they consider it, but I just don't see it. You could consider it all you want, but if it's not there, it's not there.
The requirement is what, 1.5 per?
In this particular zoning district, which is the residential commercial health district, the parking requirements for multiple family is the same as any other zoning district, which is 1 parking space for every 1 or fewer bedroom unit, and then 1.5 parking spaces for every 2 or more bedroom unit, plus 1 parking space for every 5 units for guest parking. So going through design review and for the subdivision review, those are looked at, and it's determined that this does meet the minimum parking requirements for the city code.
Can you pull up the area map again? So CHD, are they going to require like sidewalks on that?
Yes, off-site improvements are required in these multiple family zoning districts. It include sidewalk, curb, gutter, and any street pavement that may need to be extended.
So both on Moyo and Inyo, you'll probably have
Both
street
frontages.
parking. You'll have the parking in the parking lot and street parking.
Street parking is not something that can be considered as available at all times by the city.
Right.
So when you bring a development like this, you can't count on street parking.
Yeah, it's just the reality of things.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. I'll now open it up to the public. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to speak? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion and bring it back to the table for staff's recommendations.
Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends approval of Land Use Action 22-3320, a preliminary subdivision plat for La Fortuna Townhouses at 2015 Moyo Drive, Tract 100, Block 1, Lot 1 and 2, creating a 16-unit residential townhouse subdivision in the Residential, Commercial, and Health District.
Okay, we are at the table for discussion and/or a motion. Commissioners? Anybody? Mr. Nelson?
Just change my screen real quick. I'll make a motion to approve ID-22-3320 with staff's recommendations.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Miss Ballard. We have a motion by Mr. Nelson, second by Ms. Ballard, to approve action item 22-3320 with staff's recommendations. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, let's go ahead and place our votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Again, congratulations, good luck. At this point of the meeting is the call to the public. If there's anybody in the audience that wishes to address the commission on any subject whatsoever, now is the time to do it. Anybody at all? I'll go ahead and close the call to the public and go back to Mr. Morris for future meetings.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you very much. Next regular scheduled meeting is June 15th. We do have 2 items for that agenda, so we will have a meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we stand adjourned.